We've seen some amazing things, but that, my friends, is something we've never seen.
Brandon Cruz Month's Advice.
Brandon Cruz Month's Advice.
Brandon Month's Advice.
Brandon Cruz Month's Advice. You just locked yourself into the playoffs.
Nice.
Got it.
Talk with old Brandon Cruz Month's Advice.
Completely speechless, to say the least.
Man, I am honestly so baffled by that decision. Brandon Cruz Month's Advice. It's Brandon Month's Advice.
Green flag in the air. Brandon Cruz Month's Advice to the front.
How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast. I'm going to try and get you through as much information in the next 30 seconds as physically possible, so just bear with me right fast. First off, Talladega this week for the NASCAR DFS contest. My Friday video for Saturday's Xfinity race will be up Friday, and then Saturday I'll have a video up for the Cup Series race there. Related to arena football, I have no idea if I'm going to continue this throughout the season. I'm just doing it week one I'm making this video week one mainly because I'm along with a lot of other guys that we just want football to return. So I have no idea if I'm going to continue these videos throughout here. This will just be a nice little intro video since there's absolutely nothing out there right now for arena football. And legit, if I whiff this week, I'm leaving this shit. Like last year, I played the Canadian Football Series for the first 3 weeks. That's when everyone was new. That's when no one was really covering anything. I made my money, got out after people started just creating chalk and all that stupid shit. So anyway, there's a lot of potential edge right here. It's a new sport, a lot of new accounts in that $10,000 GPP. Also, if like that's the only contest worth playing. I wish it was more money. I wish it was more people. Like $2,000 to win. Man, I can't get out of my bed for, I don't know, it's ridiculous. But that's literally the only contest worth playing right now. If you're playing anything else, I don't even know why. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so there's a massive overlay of information. There's going to be tons of chalky receivers just because some of these teams didn't even exist last year. And if you're brand new to the Arena Football League, I'm going to try and go through all the teams right fast, give you some information on this. And sadly, there are no graphs in this video. It's just audio. If you'd like to see graphs, please consider donating to my Patreon so I can afford a better computer and a better software to actually add that stupid stuff in there. So thank you guys for coming. Let's get into this. So looking at the score, and I believe it's the exact same as the NFL, but I will go over it right fast just for all you guys that don't know anything about this. So passing touchdown for passing yards, 0.04 yard per yard, where it's like 10 yards equal 1 point. 300 yards passing game, extra 3 points. Interception, -1. Rushing touchdown, 6. Rushing yards, 0.1 per yard. 100 plus rushing game, 3 extra points. Receiving touchdown, 3. Receiving yards, 0.1 per yard. 100 plus receiving game, that's 3 points. Reception, 1. Kick return, TD, 1. Fumble loss, -1. 2-point conversion, 2. Extra point made, 1. And field goal made, 3. So that's how you're going to score right now. There are some different rules for the AFL, and some of them I don't like. DraftKings hasn't made any extra like points for this stuff, so half this stuff I don't even give a shit about. As just I'm doing this purely for DFS. I don't give two flying fucks about watching the games. Okay, so like for example, a drop kick is allowed in this. Actually, let me go over the field. So the field is 50 yards. The end zone is the field is 50 yards. End zone is 8 yards. I think it's like 200 feet long. I think it's 85 feet wide. Let's see. Yeah, that's all related to the field. The sides, there is no like out of bounds. It's just a padding. So if you hit that and you're tackled into that, that's where the play stops. Let me see. The defense is a very interesting thing to look at because there's only 8 people on each side. Eight people offense, 8 people defense. It's basically like playing like football back in high school, like after school in the grass or in the rough street alley and behind school. That's what I remember it is. But the defense was really interesting. I was looking up. So you have 3 middle linebackers, and then you basically have it's pretty much man-to-man coverage every single fucking play. I haven't seen a whole lot of zone coverage, and the main reason why is because there's a middle linebacker, or a cornerback, which would probably be a better term. I don't know the terms for these guys. I just kind of looked at their plays and their formations. But basically a quarterback can either like zone or tackle the quarterback, but the guy beside him, basically another middle linebacker, can only move 5 yards in any direction from when like they hike the ball. Like I don't know. I was looking at how these go out, and so typically he'll like move 5 yards to the right, 5 yards to the left, 5 yards up if they're running or like dropping back to like cover for a pass or something like that. So it's basically three safeties. You know, man-to-man coverage for the three receivers. You got the middle linebacker who's just kind of stuck in the middle. The other guy resting the quarterbacks, and the three defensive linemen. That's pretty much it. You know, so there's going to be a lot of passing. The running game is pretty much next to none. Yeah, sure, there is some running games. If you guys want to look at the stats, knock yourself out. I'm not going to give. I mean, I looked at stats related to last year, stats of some of the players coming in, as you'll see, but I'm not too worried about that. So just how the defense is. I mean, to take advantage of that is I'm just going to play shitload of quarterbacks and wide receivers. Yeah, so pouring or scoring same as the NFL. There was only 4 teams last year. If you guys don't know a lot of history about it, this league is, I think it's been up to like 12 teams at one point, and then it's gone down to 4. It was like that in the inaugural season. Now it's back down. It was down to 4 last year. Now it's at 6. By sheer grit, this series has lived on. And I think that's the reason why DraftKings is now covering it or using it as some games here, because I think they bought a stake in it actually. If you go on the AFL's website or any of the teams' websites, you'll see that they have a big old DraftKings logo right there. So I assume DraftKings bought them out or paid whatever shit they needed, or got shares in it or whatever. So I'm just assuming that DK has shares in the NFL. But yeah, everyone's like, oh, dude, they got this cool drop kick. Like, they never attempt it. If you look back, they never attempt it in the season. And then DraftKings doesn't even give us extra fucking points for that. I'm guessing they're going to count as a field goal. They're going to give me 3 points where the idiot makes a field goal or a drop kick. I don't really care. So we got that. Okay, so moving on to the teams. Now, with players and teams, forgive me, I am dog shit at pronouncing names, especially if I haven't heard anyone say these names and I can't find. I've looked at games, I've looked at plays. I don't pay attention to how they say the name. So if I'm butchering someone's name, for the love of God, don't kill me. So one thing that's interesting is people that show that they're on the roster when the finalized roster came out last week or whatever. They're not on DraftKings. So like, for example, for what is it, Abilene Empire. I'm just gonna refer to them as Empire. I'm going alphabetical order based on the city they're located in. So it's like Troy Grant Jr. He's out of ECU. He led receptions his senior year out of ACU, but he's not even on DraftKings, like the roster, like the players that we can choose from. And he's on the roster as I've recorded this video. He's on the roster. So that's weird. 2018 Receiver of the Year for the AFL, Mr. Chalk City. The only guy that anyone's ever fucking talking about is Malak Jones. Malachi. Malak Jones. I'm gonna go Malak. I'm gonna use that as his name. Let's just see. Let me go to DraftKings. I forgot how much they are. Malak Jones. He's $8,800 as a flex position, number 7 for Abilene Empire. He led last year in receiving yards. He's gonna be chalk. He's $8,800. He's the only one that anyone's showing stupid highlights of. I mean, Jones is going to be chalk. Then you got Christian Briggs, my bad. He's a rookie this year. He played on the practice squad for the Seahawks and the Colts in his career, so he was at least good enough to make it to that far in his professional career. And those are the only 3 guys that I gave a shit about for the Empire, but yet again, Grant isn't even on the fucking DK players we can choose from. And Briggs is, let me look here if I can find out how much Briggs is. Briggs is $2,800. Now he's a rookie. I don't know who they're gonna play. I don't know. On some of the teams, I know who wide receiver 1, 2, 3 is. On some of the teams, I don't. This is certainly one. The Empire is one that I don't. And you guys might be like, we've only talked about 3 players for this team. That's all the information I can find. Go out there, try and find information. I go on Twitter to look at people if they're covering this. No one gives a flying fuck. I keep getting stupid Australian rugby league stuff. I go to the team pages, and some of the team, whoever covering some of the teams, they're doing really good. Other teams make me want to kill myself because their user interface is terrible and they don't tell me anything about the players. So that's literally all I got for the Empire. You have the Chalk, Malak Jones, and a guy who's a rookie that I don't even know if he's going to play the first game, Christian Briggs. On to Atlanta City, where I have a little bit more information on him. Atlantic City, this is their first season. They had open tryouts earlier in the year. They got one receiver from that. One receiver that they signed, Warren Oliver. He's not too shitty, actually. He's not too bad. He's only $3,000. Kendricks Ing, wide receiver for the flex position, is at $6,400. He was with the practice squad last year for Detroit and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So yet again, he made it to there. I'm putting a little bit more emphasis on people who have at least either played in the NFL, in the CFL, or at least made it to a practice squad. Half the time, I'm not caring about any other people. If you play college, good for you. Most guys have at this point. I'm looking for someone who's gone a bit more than that. I believe he was actually drafted, but I didn't write that notes down. A guy that isn't on DK, yet again, he's with Atlantic City, Marquise Williams. That might sound familiar. He was a 7th-round draft pick last year. Or not last year, but he was a seventh round NFL draft pick, and he was on a team last year. I think it was with the Jaguars or something. But he's not on DK, so I don't give two shits about him. Denzel Keys, wide receiver, $7,200. He was great in college. So right now we have Warren Oliver, Kendrick Ings, Denzel Kings, and I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, Antoine Grant, $3,000 for Atlantic City. He played with Cincinnati in 3 games. I don't believe it was last year, but the year before, and he has played in the CFL. I believe he played with Saskatchewan, although I don't remember. I don't think I wrote that down, but I think he played with Saskatchewan. So anyway, we have Warren Oliver, $3,000. Kendrick Ings, $64,000. Denzel Keys, $72,000, and Antoine Grant for $3,000. Now, see, Atlantic City actually showed me that some of these guys have played, and all 3 of these guys are expected to play this year. Also, the rosters are only 24 people per team, so it's pretty slim pickings. Most of these guys do end up playing at some point in the season, looking at that. So those are who I'm looking at right now. Going on to Baltimore. You have one of the best wide receivers in the AFL, Brandon Thompson. We got a lot of Brandons going on in this team, so forgive me. You got Brandon excuse me, I'm burping like crazy. Excuse me. Brandon Tompkins, $7,800. Brandon Collins, number 2 in receiving last year for the team, is at $6,000, and then the quote-unquote best receiver, Joe Hills, wide receiver, is returning to Baltimore. He's at $9,600 on DraftKings. So I'm not even going to worry about any rookies on Baltimore. Yet again, we're only playing 6 guys on our teams, and I'm only doing 1 entry. But I do plan on using at least one of these guys from Baltimore, just knowing that they have good chemistry with the quarterback, and they are wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 for Baltimore. So you got Brandon Tompkins, $78,000, Brandon Collins, $6,000, and then Joe Hill is at $96,000. I'm actually leaning more to Brandon Collins just because he's $6,000, and he did get a good amount of balls thrown his way last year. Where is he at? $6,000 last year. He averaged, I think it's like 21 DraftKings points. And if you look back, he wasn't too bad. He got a shitload of points in the last 5 games last year on DraftKings. Game 11, 43 DK points. I believe he missed week 12, but they had a bye week. Week 13, 25.3. Week 14, 21. Week 15, 28.4. Week 16, 35.8 DraftKings points. So Brandon Collins for the Baltimore Brigade. I like him at $6,000. And I'm not too worried right now about putting a wide receiver that cheap into a flex position, because if Brandon Collins actually does keep up that chemistry with his quarterback, if you put him as a flex position, I think you got a really good chance. If by a miracle he can get 2 touchdowns and at least 80 yards, I think you've got a good flex right there, or you got a good captain if you just want to bomb it with quarterbacks in the flex positions or whatnot there. So Baltimore Brigade, those are the 3 guys I'm looking at. Moving on to the Columbus Destroyers. This is a new team, one of the second team that they're bringing back this year to have at least 6 teams in the series this year. Now they were in the AFL for a while, then they were defunct, and then they came back. So this is the first season after 8 years. The best receiver on that damn team, Donovan Morgan, got injured in a fucking scrimmage practice about a week ago. So I have no idea if he's going to play. He's injured, and he's been placed on not IR, but I think unable to play list or something like that. And they didn't say IR, but he's pretty injured. Let me look up what he is actually on right fast. Morgan for Columbus Destroyers. Yeah, Morgan replaced on the physically unable to perform list by the Destroyers following Saturday's intra-squad scrimmage. And that was on the 15th, so that was 10 days ago. Yeah, so he's listed as questionable to play in this game, but I don't see Donovan Morgan playing. And so moving on, you got Paul Revis, $6,000. He's a rookie. They signed him, and that's literally all I have on Columbus, dude. I can't find shit on this team, and their website makes me want to kill myself. So I automatically hate Columbus. If I'm gonna follow this series, fuck you, Columbus. Your website is dog shit, and I am not a fan of that. Moving on to the Philadelphia Soul. I like their website. Wide receiver B.J. Bunn. I mean, he's not too shitty when you're looking at his college stats. You know, he's not too bad. He's got and Philadelphia has a $54 season pack. I like that. 54 is my favorite number. I already like you. I'm hopping on the Philadelphia Soul bandwagon at this point. AFL MVP QB Dan. God damn it, I can't remember half of these people's names. I can't pronounce that. I'm going to kill myself. Dan Robanog. I don't even think he's a starting quarterback for these guys. I believe it's Arvil Nelson. But they do have an AFL MVP, a past NFL AFL MVP in Dan. And he is 8,200. I believe Aaron Nelson or Arvil Nelson is their starting quarterback. No, my bad. I'm retarded. Jesus Christ, I'm looking at the wrong fucking name. Dan, forget what I just said about the dude from Washington State. Dan, Raudabaugh. Radaball. Dan Robert, whatever. He's $8,200 on DraftKings. He's a starting quarterback from Philadelphia, and they're bringing back their top wideouts from last year. They also got a rookie that I really like right now, or not a rookie, but a guy who has played with other teams, and right now he's listed as questionable. His name is Aaron Washcha. Oh my gosh. Can you believe I used to be a commentator? Holy shit, I can't pronounce names to save my life. Aaron is $7,400. I really like him a whole lot. They got a fullback with a fantastically sad and terrible story. Fullback Brandon Cotton. He was drafted by the Seahawks, and then he blew out his Achilles before the season started, and he hasn't been playing football since, but he was drafted by them, so whatever. You don't care about fullbacks because no one's going to play them. But then you got wideouts. So you got the number one wideout for this team for Philadelphia. You got Darius Prince. He's $8,400 on DraftKings. Average scoring of 31.3 DK points last year and a whopping 50.8 points in the second to last game last year versus Baltimore. And this guy, he's either getting 40 points or he's not getting anything. I don't know if he had bad coverage at Baltimore week 12 or if he got injured, but he's averaging close to 40 points. I like Darius Prince from Philadelphia Soul, $8,400. Wideout number 2, Darius Reynolds, $6,800 on DraftKings. Where is it? Now, he's a little bit more up and down. I mean, honestly, I see him getting like 18, anywhere from 12 to 18 points, but at least he's guaranteed at $6,800. You know he's at least going to catch a fucking football. And then you got the guy I just mentioned earlier, Aaron Washcha, but he is listed as questionable for the Philadelphia Souls. Then you got the Washington Valor. Worst team last year. I think they won 2 games. They got the championship QB from last year's championship run. But man, I mean there ain't a whole lot of info from this team. If you that's where I got confused because what is it? You got Arvell Nelson. I mean, he led the 4th-seeded Valor to the Arena Bowl last year, where he got MVP honors in the victory, which was weird because they were the worst team in the regular season last year, but whatever. And then you got wide receiver Desmond Epps, but I believe Desmond Epps is only $3,400. I believe he's a rookie this year, and that's literally all I have on the Washington Valor. That's literally it. That's all I could find. I wrote all the notes down, and that's literally all I can find. So, what am I doing here when I'm making my lineups? QB. Typically a higher floor than wide receivers. Anywhere from 5 to 8 points is what expected from them. Anywhere from 30 to 50 DK points is expected. Now, wide receivers can rival that, but they have a lower floor, obviously, other than the 2 top wide receivers. And But they're a good way to get a low ownership play, especially if you're bold enough to play some rookies or something like that. I have no idea where the ownership percentage is going to go. I know it's going to go to what's his name? Sorry, I got too many pages going on here. Malak Jones from the Empire. Probably Darius Prince. Where's my other guy that I had written down? And a couple of the quarterbacks. And any of the 3 wide receivers from Baltimore. Probably Joe Hill's is probably going to be chalk. So it's Malak Jones, Joe Hill, and probably Darius Prince. Those would be my expected highest owned people. So what am I going to do per my lineup? So I'm going to try, this is probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to do probably 2 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, and 1 low-end punt rookie wide receiver. And the pricing is so soft this week that you can pretty much get whoever you want into your team. I mean, because I was dicking around and like, say if you put like Joe Hill, he's the highest wide receiver, and like I said, I'll pretty much chalk city at this point again. But let's say if you just throw Joe Hills in there for $14,400, you have $7,100 left. And if you just go down and pick one like stupid ass punt player, I'll just throw in a random guy for like $4,600. I have no idea if he'll play, but I'll just throw a random guy in there. Then you got $7,700, and then you could put Brandon Tompkins from Baltimore, maybe another quarterback for one of the lesser known teams like Columbus. Find out whatever quarterback starting for Columbus, throw him in there, and then you can have a pretty all right team, and you'll probably still have remaining salary left over. So what I would do is just, I mean, dick around, find 3 guys that you really love. I don't give a shit what their ownership percentage is. Find 3 guys that you really love. Find 4 guys if you really love, if you want to be like that, and then play either a captain that is low owned, or just have 1 player on your team that you think is a rookie that is stupid cheap, like $3,000, and play him in hopes he at least catches 2 footballs, maybe a touchdown, and I mean, that's how you can get an edge there. I mean, it's like the NFL, just a more dumbed down and idiotic version. Right now I'm recording this Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. So if any more news comes out between now and Friday, I mean, feel free to use that to your advantage. Only 130 people in this AFL 10K launch on DraftKings, And like I said, there's a lot of rookies here. We even got this one guy called AFL Slasher on there, so I'm assuming he's joining just to play AFL football. So I have no idea how this is going to go. I mean, this is going to be a clusterfuck. It's almost going to be just as bad as the damn Truck Series when the Truck Series started on DK this year, because that was a wreck fest, and that was hilarious. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, follow me on Twitter. Help me out on Patreon, and check out my NASCAR videos this weekend at Talladega. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Best of luck if you're watching these games. I don't know. Tell me how it goes. I won't be home Friday night. I will be watching dirt track racing here, and probably the ARCA race. So I'm not going to be watching this. But anyway, so that's my views. Thank you very much, guys. You have a fantastic day. Don't get married to your money.